Okay, it is 11, it's past 11:15. The sound keeps going on because of people giving me messages. I can't turn the sound off the phone because then you wouldn't hear me. So welcome to another episode of Shakespeare Therapy, Herbal Healing. We made that executive decision last week. And this week we're going to be talking about Bury Me a Little. Now, that is a pun on a Sondheim song, Marry Me a Little, but homophonically, it does also sound like Bury Me. Hello everybody who's here, thank you. Sorry for the little delay. One of these days we're going to figure out all these technical problems and get past them, but life is a learning experience and so is this. Anyway, so, Herbal Healing, Bury Me a Little. And I was wondering how everybody's week was. It was a little tough for me. And also today, it is 106 feeling in Washington, D.C. So I was thinking, harking back to our first little mini episode and how mint can make you feel cool and make you feel better. I got this at the farmer's market yesterday. And I actually had a kind of a tough week in that I was very sad at one point. And I thought about how much we seek out laughter, and that's okay. But we try to repress when the tears want to come. And it's, the flip side of the same coin, and it's part of the whole human experience. So I went, I didn't have any mint that day. So I went to the park, Lincoln Park, and I just started crying in this little curve or covert of a tree. And because trees, if you hug a tree, as I've said before, it does make you feel better. And I was telling my friend Jonathan about it, and he said, that's okay, it's your emotional support tree. And Simon, who invented the Tickle app, which is an app that you can download on your phone for free, and mark trees in the park or forest or on the street, wherever you are, so you know what they are, you know where they are, you can mark what happened there. Anything you want. You can say a Shakespeare quote under the tree, which is, of course, what I recommend, and what we did for the Urban Tree Festival. But anyway, so I was crying into this tree, and he said it was your emotional support tree. He said you can have an emotional support tree, and you can have an emotional support park, and you can have an emotional support forest. And I thought that's kind of maybe what they're for, because we learned from the Woodland Trust last summer at the Beaver Castle Flower Show that that the trees and the plants in that forest, that smell that you smell and you go, oh, it smells so fresh in here, is phytotones, which boosts the immune system. And it's one of the reasons that we do this show. Hannah Sylvester, the district herbalist, and I do this show, is to show how you can get quick, easy hits from nature to heal. And so the mint is a bit aromatherapy, obviously, and makes you feel better. But I also made some mint tea, iced it, because the heat, for me, can make me a little nauseous. And that happened yesterday on a long walk. And, 106 today, so I'm having the mint tea to calm all that down and help that. So there's some quick and easy hits. I forgot to say, I'm Garrett Quayle, author of Botanical Shakespeare. This is my copy, and this is what can happen if you use the book, which is, of course, what I want you to do. But it is a Kindle Book of the Month this month, so you can get it for cheap or a bargain or whatever you're supposed to say. Here's a slightly nicer version. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about berries today because in addition to crying into a tree, you can find what your comfort quotient is. What is your comfort quotient? One of the things that I say about Shakespeare and also natural healing and herbs is that the Shakespeare anchors you in wisdom, and the plants anchor you in the natural world, which is healing. And so what is your comfort quotient? And me, I found these amazing cherries. I've eaten a lot of them, and I ate the gooseberries. from last week. But that's like, a great thing that you can do is go to a farmer's market or somewhere and find these. I mean, the skin is even a little iridescent. Hope you can see that. And so we're going to be talking about cherries and currants. These are also just incredibly beautiful. Look how beautiful that is. I showed you that last week. This week I found peaches at the farmer's market and another different kind of bunch of radish. That's Falstaff again. I am a bunch of radish. I feel like a bunch of radish today. But anyway, so the line of the day, I was thinking about Romeo and Juliet, and he said, or the line of the week, because we want to put these things in our brain to develop memory and to also anchor us in wisdom. And I did keep thinking of our first line this week. What a piece of work is man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, because there's a way to figure all this out. Might not know it yet. And then I thought, I have a soul of lead, which so stakes me to the ground I cannot move. That's Romeo says that, and I was feeling a little bit of that when I was crying into my tree. And so I thought of another not a berry line, but a line about summer. And the reason Hannah and I are talking about the berries and the cherries is because they're in season right now. So this bud of love, by summer's ripening breath, may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. And even if you just remember summer's ripening breath, isn't that beautiful? And it can be about love, certainly, and relationships. It can also be about an idea, this bud of love, this little thing, by summer's ripening breath, the growth period, may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. Something resplendent, something big and beautiful. So anyway, I'm sorry. Where is Hannah? Hello. Can you hear me?
I can. It works.
It worked today. Thank goodness. Thank you, fairies of the forest, or wherever. Okay, so I was explaining that we're talking about cherries today. Shall we start with cherries?
Yeah, absolutely. I really like what you were saying about that whole sort of connection with cherries and love. Because cherries are part of the rose family, and well, we all know that roses are about love, so there's a nice link there. So I mean, with cherries, I mean, you've got some really gorgeous red ones there. Those really fabulous red ones. It's the prunus genus that we're talking about here, and those lovely, gorgeous red pigments come about through something called anthocyanins. And what they do is they have a really fantastic anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effect, which means that they have a really beneficial action on the heart. So they help to lower cholesterol, and they can help to in healing the heart, and also as part of eating sort of healthy foods.
So the cherries, yes, I had mentioned about it. I always think of friendship with Helena and Hermia in that line about growing like a cherry, double cherry on a stem. So the heart, friendship and love is good for the heart, and cherries are good for the heart. It's amazing how it all comes together. And what about currants? We talked a little bit about currants. And frankly, before I got involved in Shakespeare, I didn't ever notice currants at the farmer's market or maybe anywhere. So here we are now.
Okay. Well, I mean, currants are quite special, really. Currants and gooseberries are part of the same family.
Oh.
So they share a sort of a lot of common features, and some of the red pigments in those really nice red currants are going to share some of the heart healthy benefits.
Okay.
But sort of sticking with the gooseberry side of things, because they're quite closely related. I've pulled out a little quote actually from Nicholas Culpeper. And he wrote that gooseberries allay the violent heat of stomach and liver. and that they create an appetite and quench the thirst.
Quench the
So
thirst.
it's all about that cooling, and why they're so lovely in the summer, just to help to cool you down a little bit. But also they're very drying. So traditionally they were sort of always used to sort of to cool sort of hot swellings and inflammation.
Well, as I was talking in the beginning about the heat, and I've been drinking this mint tea, do they help with the nausea that sometimes heat can bring with some people if they're anti-inflammatory?
I would say probably mint's better suited to that.
Okay.
But I mean, if you were to eat some, probably more so currants than gooseberries, then yeah, you definitely find them cooling for sure.
And certainly quenching the thirst is important. We were talking about how much water that you need to take in when it's hot, and to cool the body down. And just because I mentioned it in the beginning, Simon Edwards, who developed the Tickle app about finding the trees, keeps pushing that these trees need water. So if you're walking by a tree and you think, oh, I think that tree is thirsty, give it some of your water. So anyway, okay, so cherries, gooseberries, and currants for the heart, to cool down, to anti-inflammatory. What was the other thing you said?
So gooseberries in particular are quite astringent and very drying. So that's how they sort of help to take things down there. And the gooseberry, in some writing it's called feverberry, and that relates back to times of the plague, where it was used as part of plague medicine for that very cooling purpose. And John Gerard wrote that it's greatly profitable to such who are troubled with a hot burning ague.
Okay, well, there's a lot of hot burning agues in a lot of ways out there right now. So gather your summer berries, gather your line of the week. This bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet, which is next week. Bye.